topic about headphones.
About headphones. So 1 second, I will just open the questions. It's quite a tricky topic. So yes, IELTS speaking part 1, headphones. Yes. So do you use headphones?
That's right. It's my favorite daily exercise. I mostly use earbuds than large headphones because they are easy to use and need less space in the bag.
Okay. So in what situations would you use headphones?
I prefer use headphones as earplugs when I need to concentrate on work or study because they help block out background noise around. And in public areas, I use headphones when I listen to music or audiobooks, which watch movies. It shows other people that their rest will be not disturbed.
Okay.
Disturbed.
What type of headphones do you use?
As I said earlier, I use earplugs. They manufactured by GBL company. Their color is sky blue, and they have a great battery life, which allows them to be used for a long time.
Okay. So in what situations would you not use headphones?
It's preferable not to use headphones when I talk to people face to face in real life, because with headphones it's difficult to hear the conversation in talking with people.
Okay.
And it's uncomfortable to use headphones on busy city streets because there's a lot of fast-moving cyclists around, and while I walk across busy streets and cross streets with fast-moving traffic.
Okay, so when you say, as I've already mentioned, but it's just present perfect. Instead of this, what you can use is modal verb with perfect infinitive, like, and as you might have already understood, right? So it's just a bit more advanced, as I have said. And when you talked about, for example, when you speak to a person and with your, how to say, собеседник, interlocutor, here's another quite advanced word. You have to be polite, right? And to be polite, or to think about your manners, there's a good expression, to mind your P's and Q's. So you have to, there's an idiom that you can use. So you have to take out your headphones when you talk to a person. If you respect a person, you take out one headphone. If you really respect the person, you take out both headphones. So to mind one's P's and Q's. There is an opinion that this comes from please and thank you. Q as in thank you. So that's why you always say please and thank you. It means you're polite. So you could have used just these lexical items. All right. Which part 2 topic did you prepare?
I prepared coffee you like.
Okay. So let's just, we have a newcomer, Sultan. So would you like to participate? Could you please turn on your microphone?
Yeah, good evening. Sure, I'm ready.
Okay. Did you prepare any speaking topics for today, like from part 1 and part 2, or would you like to choose a topic on the spot?
Well, I didn't really know that I had to, so I may choose.
Yeah, that's okay. It's just in the lesson materials, there was a link to well, speaking booklet, to the ebook with questions and also vocabulary lists and ideas for your answers and sample answers. Okay, so can you tell me, when are you planning to take your IELTS? Do you have a date or month?
Well, maybe May.
Okay, so basically now it doesn't matter, because all these questions that we're talking about, they are till April maximum. And the questions for May, we will know them in January. Yes, so anyway, you can just choose one topic from here and we'll practice this. I will ask you to speak, try to speak more or less fluently with advanced grammar, advanced vocabulary if possible, and then I'll give you my feedback on how you can improve your answer. Just choose any topic that you can see on the screen.
Well, let's choose concentration.
Okay, so in speaking part one, your answers are just 2 or 3 sentences. And so not very long, but try to be fluent without pauses, without hesitations if possible, and try to use something not very simple in terms of grammar and vocabulary. So is it difficult for you to stay focused on something?
Well, if nothing bothers me, I think it's not so difficult to do, because sometimes we can be concentrated on something really complex, and any kind of noise may distract us from being concentrated on something.
Okay. When is it hard to concentrate? In what situations?
Well, when you are really into the text, like reading it very attentively, and someone may just call you, and it can really distract you. Will just forget where you were there, and let's say it would take some more time to be concentrated again.
Okay. What do you do to improve concentration?
Well, maybe there are some tasks that can improve our concentration, and that some quizzes, like trying to remember as much data as I can, maybe on TV or some programs, podcasts, or any other. And I try to attempt to remember as many facts, dates, and numbers as I can.
Okay. Right. Is it easy for you to do 2 things simultaneously?
No, not really. But if we try, I think we can.
Okay. So let's say, when you say it is difficult, that's a simple word. And in IELTS, if you want, let's say band 7 or higher, you need to use less common and uncommon lexical items. And you could have replaced, for example, instead of it's difficult, it's a daunting task, or it's a formidable challenge. Or for example, when you want to say that something is easy, you can use an idiom that it is a piece of cake. And when it's difficult, you can say, well, it is not a piece of cake by any means, right? So instead of these words. Now, talking about concentration, you can also say, you could have used this collocation, attention span. This is the period for which you can stay concentrated, stay focused. And about doing 2 things at the same time, you could say, well, I'm not Julius Caesar by any means. You know, Julius Caesar, that's a person who could do several things at the same time. And I'm not good at, here's another expression that you could have used, is multitasking. Okay, so these are just some possible ways to include some advanced expressions into your speaking. All right, now we'll continue with Alisa, but you can choose a topic for your monologue. So I'll remind this IELTS speaking part 2. You just, well, you have a card, a monologue, and you're supposed to, you have 1 minute to prepare, and you're supposed to speak for 2 minutes. Now you will have a bit more than 1 minute. During this 1 minute or more, you can take notes about what you're going to say. And also try to include some interesting vocabulary, some advanced grammar if you can. Also at the end, I will give you my feedback. So please choose any topic from here.
Cafe you like.
Sorry, not Alisa. Now it's for Sultan. He chooses a topic, and
Okay.
when we continue with you, he will be preparing. Yes, Sultan. So please choose any topic from here.
Okay, let's choose maybe waste of time.
Okay, waste of time. So I will send the cue card into the chat box now. The topic says, describe an activity that you usually do that wastes your time. You should say what it is, when you do it, why you do it, and why you think it wastes your time. There will also be some expressions that if you want, of course, at the exam, you won't have them, but in the chat box now, I will send you some useful expressions. And if you like, you can use them. You can use them in your answer. Can you see the question in the chat box?
Yeah, I can.
Yes. So what you can see starting from the word vocabulary, this is not part of the question. These are just my recommendations on the expressions which you, if you want, you can include in your answer. All right. So could you please mute yourself now? And we'll continue with Alessia. You can, well, turn down the volume if you want. And after a few minutes, yes, okay. And after a few minutes, we'll continue with you. All right. So Alessia, your topic is about favorite cafe. Before you start talking,
Yes.
what kind of advanced grammar and are you planning to include any kind of food that is advanced about your cafe?
Can you rephrase, please?
Yes. So you're going to talk about a cafe. Are you going to mention
Yes.
any kind of dishes or food that are served in this cafe?
You mean, will I talk about what kind of food in this cafe I want to talk about?
It's just
I'm not planning to talk about what food, maybe because there's food in cafe, only ice cream and tea.
Okay.
So
Yes. But this is IELTS. You don't have to provide the examiner with information and real menu of your cafe.
Yes.
And that's why it's a golden opportunity for you to use advanced vocabulary. So, for example, you could mention that they have some, for example, venison dishes. Venison, it's like deer meat, оленина. Or, for example, some seafood like squids, calmare, or maybe let's say cuttlefish, каракатица, or octopus, or for example, well, shrimp, prawns and shrimps, they are not so advanced, but you can also include them, or maybe buckwheat, гречка, or any advanced words for food that you know in English, not simple ones like milk, ice cream, or tea, but something like more or less advanced. And this is a golden opportunity for you. So that's why I just recommend you to do this before you start, to think about it before you start speaking. Okay, so if you're ready, please tell me about your cafe, and then we'll talk about what can be improved.
Okay, thank you. Today I want to tell about my favorite cafe. It's cafe called China Vysota. It's in Moscow, not far away from Red Square. And from inside you can see beautiful furniture and some items from China. And there's a lot of big windows. Through them you can see city, a lot of people, parks, rivers, and park, river, and something and another. So I before COVID time, I preferred to visit it with my friends every time when I meet them, and we liked to sometimes look the wine list and measure menu, and often took squid and borscht for talking, and after we take some desserts and red wine for our meetings. So I like it, this cafe, for its atmosphere inside items, and that this cafe keeps warm remembers about meetings with my mates, and delicious.
Okay, so I think you still haven't mentioned enough advanced vocabulary because, well, borscht and red wine, that's what I heard, and not much more. You could have used like 5 words, exactly all these 5 words that are written here in the presentation. You could have used them. For example, buckwheat with Wenzen. Let it sound crazy. Don't worry about being, don't worry if the story sounds realistic or not. It doesn't matter at all. There is no criterion called realistic, how realistic your answer is, how interesting it is, how accurate your information is. There is only fluency and coherence, vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. That's all. Well, and you should speak on the topic, but about the cafe. But what you're going to say inside does not matter. And you actually said quite simple word. There was 1 or 2, but if you say 5, it's better. Okay.
Yeah.
So one more thing. When you start with today, I want to talk about. It's also quite basic. What I recommend, again, it's not a super advanced structure, but you can use, instead of just present simple, you can use present perfect passive. Like I've been asked to talk about. A cafe which I like, or a cafe which I adore, a cafe which I'm fond of, and the cafe which I can't help telling you about is, or it's called, not it calls, as you said, but it's called. So a cafe which I can't help telling you about. So can't help telling, it's a gerund construction. Не могу не рассказать. So about is. Then when I say, okay, it's called, not it calls, not far from, you can use some idiom here. For example, in speaking, you can say within the spitting distance of, or you can say a stone throw away from my home or from my office, or within the immediate vicinity of, or in close proximity to. Okay, then big windows, you could mention French windows. Is like a door with a window, like on a balcony. We often have French windows. You can use this expression instead. When I say that the windows look out upon a park with some wonderful coniferous and deciduous trees. And here you can just, again, give 5 names of trees, well, such as poplar trees, maple trees, birch trees, oak trees with acorns around them, and so on. Yeah. So it's an opportunity which you could have used, but you didn't use. So yeah, learn 5 types of trees, 5 types of food, 5 types of animals, and you can use them in many different topics. If these words are not cat and dog, of course, but more advanced. Then
Cheetahs.
yeah, for example. When you mentioned before COVID, so you can say, well, before COVID, I used to go there, but now, you know, we have штамм коронавируса Omicron. So we have the new strain of coronavirus. You can say variant, but strain is more advanced. And unfortunately, nowadays, only people with QR code who are привиты, inoculated. So that's another word. Or you can say vaccinated, but it's quite basic. So you can say inoculated.
Quite basic, yes.
But if you say inoculated, it's more advanced than vaccinated. And the strain of coronavirus, because of new strain of coronavirus, now they only let people who are inoculated inside. And I do not support this digital fascism system, for example, and so on. So that's why you stopped going to this cafe for just a possible way. Again, this vocabulary about COVID-19, so about strains, new strains of coronavirus, whether people are inoculated or only people with 2 jabs, it means with 2 jabs can enter this cafe. So these are also advanced vocabulary. And I think now this COVID vocabulary can be used also for half of the topics during the speaking test. Okay, right. Some part 3 questions related to this. There will be. Do you think what kind of things do you think can make a cafe or restaurant's environment better?
In my opinion, there's more qualified waitress and waitress. Sometimes good reason to do cafes better.
Okay, so why do young people like to study in a cafe instead of at home?
I think that young people prefer spend more time outside and don't like cooking and waste time for it. So they like to meeting friends in cafes also. I think these reasons are why young people like visit.
Instead of they don't like cooking, you can say, or together with they don't like cooking, you can say, их кулинарные способности оставляют желать лучшего. Their culinary skills leave much to be desired. Yeah, so that's just more advanced.
Yes, and young people like trying and experimental a lot with food and other things, and meet new people and friends.
Okay, so what kind of people like going to cafes?
There we can find a lot of people. There can be young mothers who spend time with their little children a lot of time, and they maybe not have a lot of time to cooking, or they are only try to start cooking. Sometimes you can see the businessmen and office employees who are based not far away from this cafe. Maybe sometimes old people who like art, or maybe comes not far away from museum, if cafe not far away from museum. So there are a lot of kinds of people who can
All right.
there.
So what are the differences between a cafe and a restaurant?
Restaurant, there's atmosphere. You can go there to date maybe, or visit or meet high level persons, for example, to try delicious food. And in a cafe, it's often you can find fast food and more young people than in restaurants.
Okay, fine. So that is the end of the speaking test. Do you have any questions for me?
No, thank you.
All right. So thank you. Let's continue with Sultan. Yes.
Sorry, my question is part 3 is normal for speaking test, or it's need be higher? Or
Okay, so
yeah.
well, there is no thing whether it's normal or not. You just get then score depending on your fluency, vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. So your fluency improved a little bit since last lesson, but unfortunately you're using quite simple structures. Overall, I would estimate that your answer, you don't get a mark for just separate part 1, part 2, part 3. You get a mark for each criterion for the whole exam. And well, right now your performance is likely to be band 6, but you can easily improve it by using advanced structures, advanced vocabulary, advanced grammar, and speaking out loud as much as possible. For example, in front of the mirror, there is this exam simulator for speaking part 1, where you can use it to answer questions and improve your fluency. So by fluency here, I mean speaking without pauses, although fluency does not only mean speaking without pauses, because in part 3, you're also supposed to develop your ideas, like, well, similar to an essay, for example, where there is an idea, then you explain it, maybe you can support it in some other way by giving an example or giving an alternative or giving a result. So just four or 5 sentences. But also in speaking part 3, sometimes your answers were a bit too short, which is okay, but just they were too short and too simple. If they are too short, it's not always a problem, because the examiner will ask you the next question and maybe it will be an opportunity for you to shine. But if you do not shine in the next question, then this is a problem. But sometimes you're speaking for too long, and at a real exam, examiner would interrupt you and ask the next question. I did not, because you need to speak as much as possible to develop your fluency and to have more practice. And well, you'll be interrupted, and it's not a problem. Just now try to say as much as you can. At the exam, you'll just say less, which is fine. So yeah, well, that's my commentary. Any other questions?
No, no, thank you.
All right, so let's talk to Sultan. So your story is about a time when you had to waste your time. Yeah, a situation where you had to waste your time. Are you ready to start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so speak for about 2 minutes. If you speak longer, now it's okay, but at the exam, you'll be stopped exactly after 2 minutes. All right, so please start.
Well, I'm going to tell about the activity that really wastes my time. It is a great time eater for me, is like having a bad habit. It's a bad habit of mine, like using social networks using my smartphone. So it's like getting stuck to this all the time, whenever it is possible. Well, the more I try to get rid of this, the less chances maybe I have. I do realize that it's not so easy to do, because I usually use it for 2 reasons, like gaining some knowledge, and at the same time I can waste it on some entertainment. Well, I tried to change my smartphone to button one, but it didn't help really. And I tried to delete all the apps that can take my time. Like I use only one app just to transfer files to my colleagues and for other purposes. Well, if we speak about like the reason why I do this, well, it has become a real like challenge for me to just overcome this. It's really complicated to overcome this problem. And why I think that it wastes my time, because I try to do this every time I have like at the most like possible most of the time I spend on this while walking, maybe sometimes it really happens like when I am driving, and so it takes a lot of time, really, and I have to find some solution to this problem.
Okay, so just a few things that could be improved here. For example, when you start, I'm going to tell you, you can use the same construction that I recommended for Lisa. I've been asked to talk about a situation or the time when I, or situations when I waste my time. And what I can't help telling you about is, well, just when I use my social media and so on. Then the more I try to get rid of this habit, then not less, but the fewer chances there are for me. If you say less, you use it with uncountable nouns, and you can say 1 chance, 2 chances, 3 chances. That's why it's countable, and you can say fewer chances instead of less. Then when you say it's a challenge, you can also use a collocation, because for Band 7, one of the requirements is to use some lexical items with some awareness of style and collocation. So you need to also use some collocations like непреодолимое препятствие, insurmountable challenge or insurmountable hurdle. It's a nice one. Okay, so part 3 questions related to this. They're more philosophical. You can speak, or you can use about 5 sentences to answer these questions. Do you think nowadays people have a better work-life balance than in the past?
Nowadays, I think nowadays people have better work-life balance, but it still depends on the people themselves, because it's up to them only how to use the time, how to spend the time on work tasks like they have, or spending time with their family. It's down to an individual. Well, and if we discuss work and life balance in total, so here we may say like so we always try to find the balance between our work and life, like finding some useful things, getting, let's say, extract something useful from your work and use it in your life experience, and maybe vice versa.
Okay, so do you agree that social media increases pressures of modern life?
Yes, I do. Especially we can see that we can observe the situation among the youngsters who are always, I would say, waste time on social media networks, and like blogging has become very popular. Sometimes some bloggers do something unexpected, something really that is nonsense or doesn't make any sense, but they become very popular, and many youngsters try to follow them, and it's not good, I guess.
Okay. And do you think that the pressures of modern life will be even stronger in the future?
Of course it would, because of the process of globalization, like technology development, we are becoming more and more like lazier, much lazier, and by improving all of these technologies, we are doing less physical activities, and even in future, like if we speak about AI, artificial intelligence, so it may even substitute, I mean, our employees may be substituted by robots, and then we would have a lot of problems with the employment, like earning a living, and many others like this.
Okay. So when you say something like yes or I agree, here's a phrase, not only for this question, but for any questions in IELTS speaking. I'm leaning towards a positive answer. Or if you want to say no, you can say I'm leaning towards a negative answer. When you're talking about the future, if you want, you can also include this phrase as an introductory one. I'm adamant, because I'm sure that in years to come, we will see, we'll see a plethora of changes related to this. I'll say in years to come. Let's make it more complex. We are bound to see a plethora of changes. So we are bound to see a plethora of changes related to this. So adamant, bound to, a plethora of means a lot of. Yeah, that would be nice. So that is the end of your speaking test. Do you have any questions?
Well, not really.
Okay, so you can watch the recording of this of our today's class on YouTube, and here is the link. It's in the chat box. Also, if you want to, if you need these expressions that I wrote in the presentations, I will also copy them now in the chat box. You can copy them from there if you need them. Okay, so then thank you all for participation, and see you in the next class then.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.